While you have the floor, and we're running out of time, can you tell us a little bit about the applications of microprocessors from 1971 to 75? The reason this is so important is there are several authors, one who wrote a book called The Intel Trinity, that says that microprocessors were conceived and used to be used in mainframe computers. It's kind of preposterous, since the 4004 was aimed for a calculator. Well, what were the applications of microprocessors that you observed at Intel from 1971 to 1975?
Well, one of the factors, there was a magazine, Electronic Products, January of 1970. Intel's director of marketing and I co-authored an article predicting we'd have the cost of semiconductor memory below a penny a bit by 1972. And we kind of forget, I think, today, how expensive that memory really was. Today you go out and buy memory for your digital camera, you probably get 200 million bits of memory for every penny you spend. So when we came out with a microprocessor, we knew that using TTL, that we've talked about earlier, you could build a pretty good processor for maybe $200–300. So if you're going to have a computer application that needed maybe $5,000 worth of memory, you would not want to save a few $100s and sacrifice 90% of your performance going to a microprocessor. So we had to find applications for the microprocessor that didn't use a lot of memory. And it turned out there were a lot of them.
Well, weren't they all embedded control as opposed to being used for mainframe computers?
And
were used for mainframe.
Exactly. The term that became coined for it was embedded control. But the kinds of things we looked for, things like controlling a traffic light at a, for a left turn signal, running an elevator in a high-rise building. These all have very small memory requirements, but a fair amount of logic. And instead of building the thing with relays or discrete transistors or even lots and lots of IC gates, you could use a microprocessor, and you could adapt it very quickly if you found a problem. Just reprogram it for to fix any problems that we're seeing. And so that's where a lot of our applications came from. In fact, Intel came out with a data catalog in October of 1973. I don't have one here tonight, but they pointed out the kinds of applications that microprocessors were going into. And I remember one of them, I think, that was mentioned was a Pitney Bowes postage meter. So
I got one to top that in 1974 when I was Director of Microprocessor Application Engineering at National. We showed off a microprocessor control bartender. Mr. Kaitan, you remember that? You remember that? My longtime, lifelong friend and hiking partner who's here, he remembers that. He worked with me at National in those years.